Hi, and welcome back to the Inside of My Head, where I'm looking at Godzilla Aftershock as a little bonus video to my series recapping and reviewing the Monsterverse. Aftershock centers around this, the first Godzilla skeleton we see in the mine in the Philippines in Godzilla 2014. It gives us the full story on where this thing actually came from, as well as introduces us to a new enemy. The novel is written by Arvid Nelson and sits between the events of Godzilla 2014 and King of the Monsters, so largely has the same cast of characters as that movie. It kicks off on a military base where Alan Jonah is being interrogated, and I am already delighted at the sight of this cold-hearted bastard after him being left out of GVK. Anyway, the military have barely got his name out of him when the base is attacked by this, and look at this thing. It looks like a Muto on steroids and has these razor-sharp back spikes on top of a hardened outer shell, and these massively muscular front legs, as well as these three whiskery tendril things snaking out of its face. The mystery creature goes straight after the nuclear submarine on the base before Godzilla appears and fights him off. Apparently, every time this mystery creature appears, it triggers an earthquake with a series of aftershocks, hence the title of the novel. These earthquakes are its way of luring Godzilla into a fight, and we'll come back to why it does that later. In the aftermath of the attack, Emma Russell arrives with good old Surisawa, and oh, I miss this guy. And they find that they've got to chaperone this government stiff around everywhere because he believes Emma's objectivity to be compromised. Remember, she lost a son in the San Francisco attack, and those events are still fresh in the memory. Jonah tries to commandeer the Monarch flight, and it turns out that he has been stealing intel on all of Monarch's outposts. On his tail has been this guy, and doesn't he remind you of someone? Hammond! Anyway, there's a scuffle, and Jonah gets away. The team fly to Kyushu in Japan to visit a monastery on the brink of a huge cave that opened up during the earthquake. The monks tell Emma that they know what the mystery creature is, and we see these drawings from 11 BC of an ancestor of Godzilla's called Dagon, and his doomed battle with this ferocious creature. The monks tell him that it's Jinshin Mishi, or the dragon beetle as they call it, and it implanted 2 eggs into Dagon before Dagon went to the Philippines to die in the cave we saw at the opening of the first movie. There's a bunch of stuff with these monks relating the beasts to their gods, and this is more of the mythology stuff that I really like. That was unfortunately stripped out of GVK. Muto Prime is after another sub in the Barents Sea this time, and it's time for round 2 with Godzilla. There's no clear winner to this fight because guess what? No, wait, what are you doing? What are you doing? I want to see! We cut away to the humans again. Not this again. As they find that Jonah has beaten them to the site, and they find a couple of Muto egg casings that look hatched open, and we're told that they're like the ones from the Philippines, but they're frozen. So what's the story with these? Don't know! Anyway, Jonah shows up and Hamster finally gets his guy and Hammond, you idiot! And takes his fugitive captive and sends him off to a Siberian jail. Bye-bye! The Muto attacks a nuclear plant in France. And here we see Muto Prime using these whisker things which are referred to as ovipositors to try and implant eggs into Godzilla, but Godzilla manages to get away, but he takes a beating and loses the fight. I'm so tired of all this violence. They learn that the eggs, once implanted into the host, feed on the nuclear energy of the host, depleting him and eventually killing him. Emma Russell speculates that, had Godzilla not killed them both, the female Muto may have killed the male, much like praying mantis do, and evolved into a prime Muto. But she does say that it's speculation. She offers a second theory about how, once all of these Muto eggs hatched, had this guy not blown them all up, they would have taken over the world, killing any rival species before turning on themselves and killing each other until only the strongest survived. That alpha would then become a Muto Prime and fight and seed its eggs into a Godzilla, which then hatch like the ones in the Philippines did and continue the evolutionary cycle. I don't know about you, but that makes much more sense to me. The humans figure that by recreating a sound the eggs make once they are successfully implanted in their host, they can make Muto Prime stop attacking, giving Godzilla the chance to kill it. They find out that Alan Jonah has escaped from Russian custody and run off into the breeze, I guess, and that's the last we see of him in this novel. Before the Muto Prime reappears again, and hold on, what was this guy actually doing in this thing in the first place? What was the point of him being in it? So the Monarch guy set up a huge sound system in the Azores, but instead of calming the Muto Prime like it's supposed to, it makes it even more aggressive, and the thing goes nuts and people die. Emma, okay. Emma is hauled in front of the UN Council of Elders, and she tells them it didn't work because it didn't account for refraction. Basically, it needed to sound as if it was coming out of the inside of a Godzilla body. Anyway, the two titans meet for the final battle in Canada, where Muto Prime emits its own version of the atomic blast, like more of a sonic blast, I think, which shatters the plates on Godzilla's back, causing him to leak blue energy from the wound. And he's about to get impregnated by the whiskery things when Emma plays her early version of the Orca device, which distracts Muto Prime long enough for Godzilla to tackle it, lift it up onto its back, and he atomic blasts a ton of energy out of his back wound, which blasts Muto Prime high up into the sky, and Godzilla, like a boss, stomps on its fucking head and goo-rah. There's some more boring human stuff, and that's it. It ends with a nice tribute to the fallen Dagon, and a bunch of questions that I thought were gonna get answered but didn't. Like, what was Jonah's role in all of this? Like, he shows up from time to time and seems to be one step ahead of the Monarch team, but then he disappears halfway through the story and isn't mentioned again. I thought this was all leading up to the Jonah and Emma Russell team up that we see in King of the Monsters, but you don't get that. You only get a very, very briefest of brief foreshadowing of that. So there's another Godzilla tomb and these eggs in Siberia. Like, how does that fit into everything? And just to clarify, this is a third one we're talking about. We've got our Godzilla, then we've got Dagon, and then we've got the Siberian one. I guess they're just remnants from a Muto spawning long, long ago. Or could it mean that there are more Mutos out there somewhere? Could Dagon and this other unknown Godzilla be our Godzilla's parents? Who knows? How come Muto Prime hasn't been mentioned in any of the movies? You'd have thought that something this powerful that pushed Godzilla to the brink like this would at least get a mention, wouldn't it? I'm guessing he was retconned in at some point, or could it be that this novel isn't canon? I mean, I don't know. This novel does show us the first test of the Orca device, made from a kid's keyboard and bits and bobs that have been fudged together. I thought that was kind of neat. And I thought that Godzilla having his dorsal plates shattered was pretty brutal, and it makes for a very cool victory pose at the end here, with all the blue smoke pouring out of him. Very cool. And it was pretty amazing that he was able to regen them all before King of the Monsters. Anyway, as a graphic novel, this is fine. You know, it's okay. It mainly sheds light on the life cycle of the Muto species, showing how, in a way, it's very dependent on other species to survive. I wonder if this is a symbiosis specific to the Godzilla species. Like could it plant eggs in another Titan species? Like Rodan, for example. What? Why me? Because I f***ing hate you. Now shut up, you're getting impregnated. Anyway, considering that the Muto didn't really have that much of a part to play in the subsequent Monsterverse movies, this graphic novel is definitely a sidetrack. But still, it's a nice bit of extra insight. It also does give quite a few panels to the actual monster fights, unlike the Pacific Rim novels, which I'll be reviewing very soon. So be sure to check out Godzilla Aftershock if you get the chance, but please don't expect it to further or be integral to the overall story in any way. It's just a little bit of extra insight into the universe. Guys, thank you very much for watching this very quick video. I'm going to do one more of these on Skull Island, Birth of Kong, which is kind of about how Kong came to be the last of his species. I've got one more Monsterverse related video planned, and that's a theory video on the origins of Ghidorah. That was pretty funny. And then I'm finally turning back to the Pacific Rim franchise, where I'm going to do a theory video on Pacific Rim The Black Season 2, and I'm looking at those graphic novels, which I've been talking about for ages, and I know I haven't got around to them yet, and I deeply apologize. So for now, I'll just say thank you very much for watching, and I will see you very soon in the next one. Cheerio, bye!